Hey everyone. Today we are incredibly lucky to have with us Kylie Maxwell, who is an award-winning licensed estate agent and has specialised in property management for nearly 3 decades. So there's a lot of experience that she can share with you all and hopefully set us up for some really good best practices as we enter into the end of financial year time. So welcome, Kylie.
Thank you. Hi team, nice to be online with you all today. I know the invite said Fee was joining us, but she unfortunately has got the flu. So not COVID, just the flu, and she just would not have been able to talk. So stepping up and stepping in, and I'm really happy to be online with you. So I'm just going to share my screen. I'll wait a moment. So for those of you that don't know me, obviously we just got a little introduction there, but my name is Kylie Maxwell, and I've actually been in the industry now for 30 years, and my heart lies with property management. So I actually stepped into a coaching consulting space now, and I'm really happy to be doing this session with you because I know that it can be a tense time, and I'm just incredible to believe that we are actually now at the end of May. So we are about 4 weeks away from the end of financial year, and half of our year is done. So we do have the chat facility here today. So either just if you have any questions or any comments throughout today's session, please just pop it in the chat, and I'll be having a look at that throughout the webinar. So today we're going to be talking about getting ourselves prepared for the end of financial year. So we're just at the end of May. We've probably got about 4 weeks before the end of the financial year. And as you all know, in property management, a day in property management seems like a week, and it goes very, very fast. So we want to make sure that we're preparing in the next week or so. So when it comes to 30 June, we actually are not feeling stressed and flustered, and we've ticked everything off. Preparation is definitely the key. So today, our roadmap, I'm going to talk you through things that we should be looking at over the next couple of weeks and getting prepared for, because it's not just getting ourselves prepared. Sometimes it's getting our tradespeople prepared as well, and our tenants, and getting our owners prepared. So let's get into it. So you really need to start checking off your list. So rent reviews is a really important thing to be looking at. Are your rent reviews all up to date? I feel that when we're dealing with owners, of course, there's some owners that we hear from all the time, but there's a lot of owners we don't hear from. But we will hear from them at the end of the financial year, that is for sure, because they'll actually start looking at their statements, and they'll actually start looking at the end of financial year, seeing what incomes come in, and seeing what expenses they've got. So they then actually start to look around rent reviews as well. So if you haven't done rent reviews on your portfolio and you've got some that need doing, I think it's a really great thing to maybe start to get those done early next week, so you can start having that conversation. And when it gets to the end of financial year, you've got an answer for your owners. It's funny, and I know you guys are down, most of you guys are down in Victoria, and I'm sure the narrative is the same, though, that the market is tight, rents are high, and vacancy is low. So our owners hear that narrative all the time on the news. So really important to get our rent reviews up to date. Routine inspections. Any routine inspections that you may have done in the month of May, or you've got scheduled for June, definitely want to be getting those done and closed off, because there's probably another thing owners are going to be questioning as well, because they start looking at a 12-month management when we go from financial year to financial year, and they want to see what our services have been like. So routine inspections also important for you guys to make sure that you've got them done and closed off, and they are also up to date. Outstanding work orders. Another, go through your outstanding work orders list and see if there's anything there that has been sitting there for a while, or we could push through to have it done before the 30th of June. We would have actually got authority from owners already to have work done, and a lot of owners will be actually expecting that expense to be in this financial year so they can claim it on tax. So if we've got outstanding work orders, let's make sure we get hold of our creditors and see where that's up to. Probably something I would do as a priority sooner rather than later to make sure that we can push that work through. No, tradespeople are under the pump at the moment, and they're sometimes as rare as hen's teeth. So if we can give them a couple of weeks to get that work done, and we can get the invoices in, our owners can actually claim that as a tax deduction in this financial year. Another great strategy, and it depends on your owner and obviously your creditor, but if you've got work that needs to be done, but it actually can't physically be done until the new year and the new financial year that is, and your owner still wants to claim it, maybe ask your creditor if they could invoice for that work so we can get it into the system and we can have it there as an expense. Creditors' invoices. I don't know about you, but I find creditors sometimes very slow in getting their invoices in. And there's nothing worse than us getting creditors' invoices, say, on the 28th of June, and we're putting ourselves under pressure to get them into our system. So decide in your office when would be the absolute last cutoff date for your creditors to get invoices in. It may be around the 25th of June. So that way we can get them in and we can get them processed. Because again, our owners are going to want to claim these expenses in this financial year. Any other time of the year, it doesn't technically matter. But when we come to the 30th of June, we want to make sure that we've got those creditors' invoices in. So that'll be a matter of looking at work that's been booked and completed, but we haven't actually got the invoices in. Can I just have a little in the chat room, can you just let me know what property management software you're using, whether it's Property Me, Property Tree, Console? I'd just like to see where everybody is at with Property Me, right? So Property Me also have a great 10-step checklist on their system that you can download if you just jump into the knowledge base. Property Tree, I'm sure I've got one as well, but it looks like most offices are on Property Me, so that's great. Thanks for answering that, guys. So entering of invoices, as I said, we want to make sure all the invoices that we have received in our offices, that we've actually entered all those invoices. So if you've got invoices in your to-do tray to actually enter, or you've actually got an accounts department that are doing these for you, let's make sure that we're having that conversation and communicating with those people that are responsible for that to make sure that all our invoices have actually been entered. And that way we can ensure their payment. Annual maintenance, great time to check any annual maintenance and even annual policies for that matter. So printing off insurance policies, looking at whether heating and air conditioning may need to be done, checking that our smoke alarm compliance is all up to date, and making sure we organise that work for annual maintenance, even pest control, termite control, so we can get that invoice in for our owner, and we've ticked that one off our list. Bond reconciliations, another really great thing to be doing as a best practice. I always like to do this monthly anyway, bond reconciliations, just to make sure that our bonds are all reconciled and we don't have any sitting in there that shouldn't be sitting in there and it should be refunded, or we're not actually missing any bonds as well. So that's just a best practice, not necessarily something that our owners need to be worried about or be aware of, but definitely best practice at this time of year just to do a bond reconciliation to see that all our bonds are in. So money matters. I want you to have a look in your system, printing off reports for vacated tenants who have any overpaid rent, making sure that we've actually cleared that account and actually got that rent back to tenants. So if we've got that, we're going to need to obviously call tenants and get account numbers because we want to get that out of our system before the end of financial year. Tenant invoices, if we've got any outstanding tenant invoices, this would be the same as our arrears as well. So if we've got any tenants that need to be paying water invoices, or they've got maintenance invoices, or it's a reimbursement back to our owner, let's actually get on top of that, jump on the phone and get payment of those invoices in as well. It will actually obviously be something that can everyone just pop themselves on mute? please. Thanks, guys. Just it echoes otherwise, and it's not comfortable for others. Unknown funds. So pop into your journals or chat to your accounts department and see if you can do some forensic accounting to find out where these unknown funds belong to. Because some of it could be funds that need to be going to our owners for rent. It's amazing, tenants who could be paid so far in advance that we're collecting funds and we don't know who they belong to, and they're not in arrears, so we're not knowing whether it's actually their rent. So let's actually do some forensic accounting there and see if we can actually identify where those unknown funds are. If we can't, great. Best practice at the moment to then get those to your state revenue office. I think your Office of Fair Trade in Vic will probably have a form that you can download. I'm in New South Wales, so I'm not aware of Vic, whether Vic does that, but I know there will be an Office of State Revenue where you can send your unknown funds. Adjustments. Are there any adjustments that need to be made? Has anything come through in the month of May or June where you may need to make an adjustment? Either an incorrect date's been put in, an owner is owed a journal on maybe overcharged fees, or any adjustments at all, because I can guarantee you if an owner is owed money, they will actually look at that before the end of financial year and they'll be asking where those adjustments are. It's almost too late to be able to go back on the 1st of July to put an adjustment in for an owner. All fees are charged. If you're, I would definitely be making sure that possibly you're actually doing an audit for the 12 months. I know that is a huge job, but something that you've probably done monthly anyway, and I'm sure you guys are all doing this, so it may not be a huge job, but if it's not something that you've done on a monthly basis, go back the 12 months to make sure that all fees have been charged. So the things you want to be looking for are your letting fees, your advertising fees, and your lease renewal fees. So if majority of you look like you're in Property Me, so what I want you to do is actually month by month, you could actually print off what new leases were done and what advertising was done, and just do a cross check to make sure that you've got all your fees. Again, it's an expense for your owners that's tax deductible, but it's also money that we want to be coming into the business. Owners' insufficient funds. Best practice, if you jump into Property Me, go onto your bills tab, or actually even on Property Tree or any other software that you may be using. Look at where we don't have enough funds to pay current bills. It's a great touch point and communication point for owners. If we're actually giving them a call to say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I've got an outstanding roof repair here. It's about $3,000 and it looks like I'm not going to have enough rent to pay that account in this financial year. Would you like to pop money into our trust account so we can actually claim this, so you can actually claim this in the financial year? I think also really important to do that for rates and strata, because they obviously are going to attract interest, and we want to make sure our owners can get the full amount of deductions in their tax return. So don't be afraid to make that phone call if you see that you've got an owner that's got outstanding invoices and they don't have enough money to pay it. Let's make sure that we're calling the owners. You may even had owners that have got vacant properties at the moment with invoices in place, or we've got properties that have been sold, and we've only got a couple of weeks in June to make sure that we can get those funds in. So definitely great to look at insufficient funds for our owners. End of financial year fees. Have a look in your system to make sure that your charges are set up for fees, and make sure that the box is ticked. So when we run our end of financial year, that fee actually will push through to the agency. Does anybody have any questions or have any comments around money, or think there's anything missed that may need to be shared with the rest of the group? Just having a look in the chat. Everybody looks quiet, so we will move on. So statements. A lot of our owners only worry about the money going into the bank and not necessarily reading their statements. So really great for you to make sure that you understand the statement. Now, you can actually print off an end of financial year statement and just preview it. be good for you to have a look at that, I would say around week 3 of June, just to check that there's nothing that looks odd in that statement. Has GST accidentally been charged? Have we charged too many letting fees? And as the property manager, you will be able to see if there is any discrepancies. Again, easier to fix pre-30 June than from the 1st of July. So if you're in property management and you're not sure how to read those statements, grab someone in your office or in your accounts team that are, and just have a little preview of those statements to see that everything's in order. Check month by month, has all the income come in, and month by month the expenses, have all the expenses gone out. So, have we got 4 rates installments? Have we got 4 strata levy installments? Is that on the statement? Because these will be things that owners will start to question as they take things to their accountant. So have a look at that, because it's also a really good check to make sure that we have actually paid everything throughout the year. Access for clients. If you've got property owner and tenant portals, one of the things that can be efficient for you is to make sure that all your clients have access to these portals. So this might be something that you'll do next week, a little reminder group or bulk email to send out to your clients to say, if you haven't already got access to our owners portal, please let us know and we can arrange this for you. This will help your owners actually be able to access their month-by-month statements and also their end of financial year statements. There's nothing, from experience, I know, some owners obviously are great, but from experience, I still, getting phone calls at November from owners saying, hey, I've lost my end of financial year statement. Can you send it through to me? I know it's a 2-second job and we would be more than happy to do it. But if we can direct our owners to the portal and they can actually download their monthly statements, they can download their invoices, and they can download their end of financial year statement. So it makes it very easy for our clients, and it also saves time for you as property managers. So group email out of your system or out of your EDM system to your owners to say, if you haven't got access to our property portal with ending that financial year coming up, we suggest that you get in contact with us so we can set that up for you. That might be a task that you could delegate out to your admin team or even your receptionist, because it's not an onerous task. It's more just a data entry task. So don't feel you have to do all of this on your own. Paperwork essentials. Updating templates. Something I have forgotten to do on occasion is actually updating the template on the end of financial year statement to actually change the dates, because the template technically is the same every month, but end of financial year, it is actually picking up the dates. So we want to make sure that you've updated your header templates in your Truster software to actually reflect the 2021-2022 financial year. And audit requirements. What does that look like for your office and where are they going to be stored? So even though everything is in our Trust software, I just think it's great to have maybe in SharePoint or however else you're doing, maybe OneDrive or your or another program where you're actually storing backups. I always think for ease of our auditors, it's great to actually have month by month, end of month stuff and end of financial year stuff in a separate file and actually mark it 2021-22 end of financial year. It's just easy to find it rather than having to go in and out of the system all the time. Your auditor can actually either look at those reports online. You may even be old-fashioned and want to print them off and put them in a month-by-month folder as well with your reconciliations. So let's make that easier for our auditors and also for your time, so you're not having to go to look for things. Game day. So the week or the couple of days before the end of financial year can feel a bit frantic for property managers. I would, and definitely the day of, I would definitely try and clear your diary of any appointments. So you're actually, you're free on the day to actually help or assist. Definitely want to make sure all your receipting is done before you run your end of financial year. and that you've reconciled your trust account. I know that most of you will probably be reconciling your trust account daily anyway, so it should just be another thing that you're actually, another daily thing that you're doing and not another task. Have you paid all your creditors? So we want to make sure all our creditors' invoices in and we've actually made payment to our creditors. So then we know that our owners' expenses can be claimed. Release all withheld funds. So do a little report and have a look at the withheld funds. As I said, that is probably something you could do a couple of days before the end of financial year, because you may need to have a conversation with your clients around why we're holding those funds and whether they want those released or not, or whether they want to pop extra funds into the trust account to make payments for larger invoices. Archive old contacts. So this would be something that you would do. These are not current contacts. These would be contacts that could possibly still be sitting in your system from the previous financial year. I'm sure you guys are doing this every month anyway. So again, it won't be a big task, but just double check that there's no outstanding or old contacts from the previous financial year, because there's nothing worse than them getting a zero end of financial year statement and ringing you up and saying, hey, I haven't been with you for 12 months. Can you please remove my details? It makes us not look great. So archiving old contacts is something that we also need to do. Perfect time when we get to the end of financial year, once the dust has settled and we've actually got our statements out to our owners, is to actually review our systems. So you might find in the next 4 weeks that something is just not quite working and you're feeling a little bit under stressed and there's a bit of pressure going on, or you might have found in the last 12 months that something is not working. So great to come together as a team and review all your systems. I'm sure you've all got great processes and procedures, and I'm sure that you all know everything about them in your office, but is every process and procedure working? So were there any complaints throughout the year that were in relation to a service standard? If that was the case, let's grab that complaint, pick it apart, look at the process, the procedure that we have in our office, and maybe we can tweak that. Maybe we can change that. Right now, we're talking about end of financial year. You might actually start now to actually do a process and procedure for next year that will actually say, okay, week 1 of June, we're going to do ABC, week 2, ABC, and who's going to do that actual task and delegate it. So then you've actually got this process and procedure in place. A lot of offices make the mistake of having a process and procedures manual and thinking that it's gospel and just they don't change it. These are meant to be fluid, guys, and as new team members come in with new ideas and strategies, it's really good to review the systems that you have in place to make sure that they are all working. It's a bit scary to think that once we've done our end of financial year, we will be on the downhill run to Christmas. And I know for a fact it goes very, very quickly. So let's plan and set some goals for you and the team between now and Christmas. Look at the first 6 months of this year and decide, what did we do great, but what do we want to do better in the next 6 months? Do we want to do something more around our arrears? Do we have maybe 200 routine inspections that we want to get knocked out before Christmas? And don't forget, we've got a few public holidays coming up. School holidays are always a bit, a bit of a planning issue as well, because sometimes we've got people off or we've got clients that are not allowing us access to their house. And I would say the week before Christmas, you can basically write off as well in relation to doing routines. But December will be busy. So if something hasn't quite worked in the next 6 months, or we want to set goals and targets to do better in the next 6 months and smash it out of the park, sit down as a team and go, okay, we want to maybe concentrate on arrears. We want to maybe concentrate on growth. We might want to concentrate on, looking at when our vacating leases are for the next 6 months, and definitely around November and December, so we can start planning outgoings for December and getting those properties relet. So get together as a team and actually think about your planning and setting your goals for the next 6 months. Value add for client favorite subjects, because I'm a very customer service focused person, and value add for clients I think is a great thing that all businesses love to do. So things that you could do to add value for clients, and it also is a bit of a growth piece. Tax depreciations. Have you actually sent out any documentations to your clients about tax depreciations? Obviously, when clients get tax depreciations done, there's actually savings that they could make in tax on their tax returns. So, contact someone like BMT Tax Depreciation. They do have flyers and documentations that they could give you. Most of them are digital online now. And again, this could be an EDM that you will do in the next week, giving out to your clients to say, in preparation for the end of financial year, have you thought about a tax depreciation? And that's something that you can start organising. So you need to be planning to organise tax depreciation. So pop that into your diary. June, I think, will be busy for you. Another value add is actually talking to your sales team and getting them to do an updated market appraisal on the properties within your rent roll. They don't actually physically need to go to the property. They could probably just look at the photos that you have online, have a chat to you, and it could just be an updated market appraisal. If you gave one of those to all your owners, it's not about them selling. I'd want the narrative in the letter to say, have you thought about the asset value in your house? We've taken the hard work out of it for you. We've had a market appraisal done for you. And then maybe actually give them some options to some other investment properties that they could look at buying. We do have natural nutrition at the moment, where we've got, mum and dad investors, or even just investors actually selling their properties. So we want to always be looking at ways of growth and building our rent rolls, and actually providing someone with the asset value of their rental property is a great way to start that conversation. Another value add for clients is to let them know what you've done as a team for the last 6 months. So, what have your days on market been like? How many routine inspections have you maybe conducted? How many open homes have you done? What are your rent review, your rent arrears percentages like? Anything that you've done as a service that you can actually tell your team about, or tell your clients about, actually adds value. The other thing too is clients really like to have that human connection and know who you are as a person. So what's happened in your team in the first 6 months? Maybe somebody got engaged, maybe somebody got married, maybe somebody's had a baby, maybe someone's been promoted, maybe you've done something together as a team to support the community. Think about actually getting that stuff out to your clients and letting them know about the O'Brien's team that look after them. It's a really great value add for clients, and you start to build that relationship and connections, which also helps with growth. Celebrate and brag. Property management some days can feel like a negative experience for some of us, and other days it could be so wonderful and so rewarding. But I don't think we take the time to step back and look what we've actually done, and I don't think we take the time to celebrate. And when you celebrate, I want you to brag. Let people know what you have done as a team. And that comes back to that end of financial year EDM or newsletter, where you're actually going to brag about your results. So I want you to celebrate the wins, and I want you to brag. So sit down as a team and, print reports off your system, and you might even surprise yourself. I had a guy in another office that had done 25 ingoing inspection reports in 1 month. Like, that is huge. And that is he manages a portfolio as well. And he was feeling a bit down in the dumps. And I said, yeah, because you're probably exhausted, but mate, you should be celebrating that. Like 25 ingoings in a month is huge. And that was the team's biggest leasing month as well. So look at it as a team, celebrate your wins, and and as I said, let's go one step up to Christmas and see what you can smash out of the park before the end of the year, because then the Christmas party will be fantastic. And brag. There's some really great templating stuff out there where you can brag and let your clients know what you've done. Are there any Maria Kondos in your office? And what I mean by that is, there actually anybody in your office that really likes to clean things out and organize everything and get everything in order? We spend so much time in our offices that obviously we want it to be a nice environment, and we want it to feel clean and fresh. So the end of financial year is the perfect time for any of you Maria Kondos out there to start going through filing cabinets, drawers, even your digital filing cabinets, to have a little clean out, to see where what we can keep and what we don't need to keep anymore. Let's make room for the new. Do all our desks need a really good scrub? Do we need to get rid of some old memes that we might have around the office and put some new things in place? Are there files still sitting in cabinets that we haven't managed for 5 years? Do we really need to still be keeping that stuff? Obviously, there's some audit requirements in your state that you'll need to abide by. So if you are the Maria Kondo in your office, let's just not throw everything out with the bathwater. We want to make sure that there's a little bit of structure around that. But think about your environment and how, now that we're setting up for a new year, that we can actually get into having a clean slate, wiping the blackboard clean, and getting on with the next financial year. So guys, that has gone a little bit quicker than we thought, but I'm going to take it off share screen, and I'm just going to pop back on to our little video link here. Does anybody have any questions, or does anybody think there was anything that was missed that they would like to share with the team? You're all very quiet today.
I do have a question.
Yes, Claire, go for it.
Not sure whether this is kosher or not. I just wanted to, I guess, get some feedback as to what the rough charge is for clients at the moment, what the going rate is for the end of financial statements, what people are charging, what kind of the average is. Doesn't have to be specific to, your office or the amount, but just a general guide would be helpful.
Yeah. Does anybody want to share? I can share with you a sort of a guide that I know from offices that I've worked with. And obviously the fee needs to be in your agency agreement before you can share it. But I've got offices that some offers charge up to $30. And some actually charge more, because it is a bit of work, and some offices also do a reprint charge. So it depends what your fee structure is set up like, but some offices do charge quite a significant fee dollar amount for their end of financial year statements, and obviously that bumps up your profits, which is a great as well. Would anybody else like to share what they may be charging at the moment?
Claire, we do anywhere between 25 and 33 depending on client.
Yeah. And obviously, Danielle, you've got that in your agency agreement.
Absolutely.
At the start.
The schedule of fees.
Yeah. So Claire, that's probably the only thing, if you're not doing that at the moment, that you're just going to have to do some sort of correspondence and get owners to sign it around updating your schedule of fees.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I've come into an office and we don't charge them at all. In fact, the process has been we don't even issue it until they phone asking for it. But I think there's just a lot of wasted time and loss of funds that we could be as a client. No one's got the time these days to, I've got to call the agent to get my end of financial year statement. So I know personally I'd rather be charged $20 and have to make the phone call to my agent to get it. So
absolutely. And obviously, and look at, like, there is a lot of work involved to get prepared. And I think that if you're going to send a letter out to clients, you can actually almost pinpoint the work that you're actually going to be doing in the month leading up, to actually let them know that, because to them, they think it's just a click of a button and it's just a statement and everything's there. But there's a lot of checks that you need to do, a lot of things that you need to cross off, and a lot of things that you levers you need to pull to make sure that statement is 100% correct. And the other thing too is if you sell it to them that, you know, you've got all your end of month statements, you've got all your invoices basically, and then a consolidated statement, it's actually accountant ready. So it's actually going to be less work for their accountant to have to do. And I can tell you what, their accountant's going to charge them a lot more an hourly rate than what you're going to charge them to receive that statement. So it's just the wording around that letter to your owners. And I'm happy to talk to you offline about that, or shoot some things through to you via an email. And it's just how you pre-frame that letter to your owners to actually sell it to them, because you know, $50 for an end of financial year statement in comparison to $250 an hour from their accountant to get all the documentation and everything ready is actually a much better sell. And it's a good value add and client and a service to our client. So definitely, you know, it's not the norm amongst the industry that a client would have to call up to actually receive an end of year financial statement. It's usually just automatically sent out after we've done the June end of month run. And we do obviously, you know, 6-12 months down the track, we still get clients ringing up saying, I haven't received my statement or I've lost my statement. And obviously we'll have them all in our online systems, but that's why having access to the owner's portal for specific things, they can also then jump in there and get those themselves at any time too. So yeah, I would definitely be thinking about that for the next financial year for your property management team.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah. Is anybody have any concerns about invoicing or creditors sending in invoices or anything like that at the moment? No, everybody's okay. Yeah, I would definitely also, if you've got tenancy rent arrears this month, be actually making a phone call to your owners to let them know that there may not be a full whack of rent coming through for the month. Nothing worse than them just getting their statement and seeing that they haven't got a full amount of rent. So that's one of those touch point calls that you could make to let them know. But when you make that call, I'd also make sure that you've let them know what the solution is or what action you've taken, because they just don't want to hear your tenant hasn't paid rent and they're in arrears. They want to know your tenant hasn't paid rent and they're in arrears, but this is what we've done, this is what we're doing, and this is the solution. So make sure that we're having that conversation as well. As I said, really, really important to do a preview of your end of financial year statements. And I'd probably do them around mid-month, because if you need to sort anything out, you're going to need time to sort that out, because you may need to reach out to Property Me or Property Tree or your accounts person to actually do some adjustments and some journals. And that could take a little bit of time to sort out. And obviously, you're still doing your everyday management. So you've got to find time to actually slot this into your ideal weeks as well. So to not put you under pressure, definitely don't leave everything to the 28th of June. Start doing everything over the month of June, and even compiling that newsletter and looking at those stats of what you've done as a team. Start doing that as of next week. And I think you'll surprise yourselves too. You know, think about the good things that you've done as a team as well, you know, for the community, or good news calls, because I don't know if you follow people on social media of businesses, posts that get the most engagement are the human connection posts, because people want to know what people are doing. People don't necessarily want to see for lease or just leased properties. They want to know what you're doing as humans. So that is a really nice connection, human connection in our world of, you know, the digital day. Does anybody have any other questions? No, I was talking to Gillian at the beginning. We're talking a little bit about growth as well. So the reason why I want you to brag about your stats is because if someone is seeing that on social media and the agent that is managing their property does not have as good as stats as the O'Brien's group, it's going to start planting that seed for them to start transferring managements. So definitely we want people to know what we're doing. We want to be bragging about that sort of stuff. And definitely want your tax depreciation stuff, have that conversation as well, get that out there, because that is a value add. And you'd be surprised about the amount of people that haven't had tax depreciations or actually don't know about tax depreciations. So you could actually, if you have time, grab someone from BMT and maybe do a quick Zoom or Q&A that you can actually invite your clients to, and they can actually ask questions about tax depreciations. It would be free. BMT would love to do that, I'm sure, if you just give them a call, or whoever else does tax depreciations in your area. Work out a quick little invitation link to a Zoom, and if you're confident enough, which I'm sure you'll all be fine, jump onto Zoom and do a little client Q&A on tax depreciations and why we should do tax depreciations. Another value add that is not going to cost you anything, but is going to be so valuable to your clients. So team, that is it for today. As I said, I will, if you'd like to know any more, please reach out to me. So it's kylie@realplus.com.au. Jump onto your property management trust software into your knowledge base. They do have end of financial year checklists as well, which is specific to your accounting. So I would definitely be downloading those and definitely start working through the checklist that we talked about today, because it will definitely take you the month. It will be a little bit more busier than your normal end of year month planning. So because you want to make sure that everything is clean in your system. Once you've also run your end of month, I would suggest the week after, so the first week of June, you're actually going through your system and archiving any properties again that and archiving tenants, archiving properties and archiving owners that you may have ceased management for as at the 30th of June, because this will actually this is actually great for your reporting and give you a clear picture of where your managements are at and what you can look at from a growth point of view for goals for the next half of the year. So thanks for your time today, guys. I know as property managers, you are very, very busy and you've probably got lots of things to do. So let you finish your Thursday afternoon and smash through Friday, and then the weekend is ahead of you. So thank you.
Thanks so much for joining today, Kylie. It's been a really informative session.
Pleasure.
Hopefully everybody's enjoyed it and taken some good notes.
Yeah, I hope you've taken lots of notes, because the end of month will be here before you know it. Yeah, but reach out, and I'm sure a lot of you have all done end of financial years before as well. But it's always nice to have a refresh and just get some little tweaks. And I think the value add to clients and celebrating your wins and bragging a little bit is a really important part of when we get to the end of financial year. Okay.
Great.
Great.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, team.